Hello, welcome back to another breaking news update. My name is Jimmy Boyd, and you are watching Boyd News. I want to thank you so much for tuning in today. All right, guys, I'm back with more updates out of the Middle East, and I want to give you more information regarding this war between Israel and Iran. And we've been hearing recently that the U.S. might join in this fight and team up with Israel to strike Iran's nuclear facilities and denuclearize them. So far, we haven't heard that update yet. But yesterday, I did give you guys some news that U.S. President Donald Trump was calling on Iran to unconditionally surrender. And today, Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, Iran's supreme leader, has responded. And I'm going to show you guys his report here on your screen to start out the video. So take a look here. Ayatollah Ali Khamenei says Iran will never surrender, warns U.S. not to attack. Iran's supreme leader said Wednesday the nation would never surrender as demanded by President Trump and warned the United States it would face irreparable damage if it intervenes. Yeah, so that was a major statement from Iran's supreme leader today, Ayatollah Ali Khamenei. I'm going to show you guys the full transcript of the message that he was sending to U.S. President Donald Trump, as it looks like Iran is not going to surrender in any way, although they're taking massive losses right now. We have numerous reports of explosions across Iran again, multiple cities being hit very hard. Lots of military sites are being destroyed by Israel, and looks like Israel is still keeping up the pressure. And I believe Trump was stating just today to Benjamin Netanyahu to keep the attacks coming, to keep striking Iran hard. And maybe pretty soon we're going to be hearing, maybe in the next couple of days, that the U.S. is going to be getting involved to strike Iran's nuclear sites. So we're going to talk more about this today. We're going to jump on over here to X with Megatron Ron. Just in, Ali Khamenei, Iran's supreme leader's speech on TV. Any U.S. strike will have serious, irreparable consequences. The Zionist entity committed a grave mistake and will be punished for its actions. The Iranian nation firmly resists imposed war, and it will also firmly resist imposed peace. This nation will never surrender to pressure. Only the intelligent know that the language of threats cannot be used with the Iranian people. Those familiar with Iran's history and people know better than to speak the language of threats. Our people will not submit to any dictates from any party whatsoever. The Americans must understand any military intervention will undoubtedly bring irreversible harm. They should know that Iran will not surrender, and any U.S. strike will have serious, irreparable consequences. War is met with war, bombing with bombing, and strike with strike. Okay, so that means that the Iranians will retaliate if they are attacked in any way. So if the U.S. attacks them, they will respond and attack most likely U.S. forces around the Middle East. So major statement from Iranian Supreme Leader Ali Khamenei today as he gave this speech. So now let's move on to another update from Ozen Defender. Reporter, Mr. President, what do you have to say to the Supreme Leader of Iran who says that they will not surrender? Trump says, I say good luck. Another reporter, when does your patience run out with Iran? Trump responds, it's already run out. That's why we're doing what we're doing. They had 60 days, plenty of time, and they made a mistake. Honestly, they made a mistake. Their country's in ruins. So many people are dead that shouldn't be dead. It's a very sad thing. Yeah, this was a statement from Trump today at the White House. I want you guys to see this. 30 seconds.
Mr. President, what do you say to the Supreme Leader of Iran who says that they will not surrender?
I say good luck. When does
And what is the end game?
run out with Iran? Say it? When does your patience run out? It's already run out. That's why we're doing what we're doing. You think you could take out the they have 60 days and a big, 60 days, plenty of time. And they made a mistake. Honestly, they made a mistake.
If the U.S. does strike
Their
nuclear
country's in
facilities,
ruins. So many people are dead that shouldn't be dead. It's a very sad thing. Let's watch this.
Mr. President, what do you say?
All right, so major statement from Trump here as well, and him responding to Ali Khamenei's message today to Trump, calling on the U.S. and stating that they will not surrender at all in this fight. And Trump just stating here that, he gave them 60 days to respond to a nuclear deal, and no deal was reached. So that's why the U.S. is doing what they're doing right now, and heavy bombing still taking place in Iran. So now moving on to Hoodlum. I had to leave the G7 early to install big, beautiful, tall flagpoles, says Donald J. Trump. Yeah, I thought this was weird. I wanted to show this to you guys real quick. Let me read this to you. Donald J. Trump on True Social. It is my great honor to announce that I will be putting up two beautiful flagpoles on both sides of the White House, north and south lawns. It is a gift from me of something which was always missing from this magnificent place. The digging and placement of the poles will begin at 7:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Tomorrow morning, the flags will be raised at approximately 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. These are the most magnificent poles made. They are tall, tapered, rust-proof, rope inside the pole, and of the highest quality. And then the rest is kind of cut off here. But the reason why I'm showing you this is because last night, this is when Trump was reportedly just arriving back into the U.S. coming from the G7 summit. We were hearing that he was holding a Security Council meeting as well with his national security team, and they were trying to figure out whether they're going to be responding and helping out Israel striking inside of Iran. And then all of a sudden we get this message coming out last night, and I thought it was really strange that, we're expecting to even see Trump address the nation last night, and he did not even do that. And instead, this is all he put out. Some people were thinking that maybe this was some sort of like coded message, that maybe they're going to be striking Iran and there's some sort of hidden code in here or something. You guys can let me know what you think. But I thought that was really weird that he put that out. And that's actually where Trump was at here. He was at the White House today, and they were installing these flagpoles. So it really did happen. Now for Mosin Defender. According to ABC News, U.S. officials signaled that the next 24 to 48 hours would be critical in determining whether a diplomatic solution with Iran is possible or if the president might resort to military action instead. Officials continue to assess that Iran is now in a weak position, that it could be forced to come back to the negotiating table and ultimately accept a deal requiring it to abandon all further nuclear enrichment. However, sources familiar with President Trump and his mindset state that the president has grown increasingly frustrated with Iran's inability to provide the administration with immediate answers, while appearing highly disinclined to allow for a situation to unfold where it appears as if Tehran has successfully called his bluff of military action against nuclear facilities inside Iran. Yeah, again, it was interesting. Kind of ties into that story that I was telling you guys about last night. He was supposed to be addressing the nation. I was hearing reports of that. Soon after that got canceled, he wasn't going to be doing that no more. Now he's kind of just still making statements that they might strike Iran, but not really giving a whole lot of indication of that. But we are seeing a lot of U.S. military assets being deployed to the Middle East right now. So obviously that's posturing for a potential strike and maybe to send a warning to Iran. But so far we haven't seen the official green light coming from the U.S. president here, calling on his forces to attack Iran. Now for Max 25, Trump, I can't say whether U.S. will strike Iran. Iran wants to negotiate. Nothing is too late. Unconditional surrender means I've had it. They're totally defenseless. They have no air defense whatsoever. Next week will be big, maybe less than a week. So he's stating that in a week or less, we could be seeing some big developments. Maybe the U.S. going to get involved. Me personally, I think he's giving Iran a little bit more time to come to the negotiating table before they decide to carry out this attack. And then the big question is Trump going to back out at some point and not attack Iran, or maybe just let Israel carry out this strike, or what's going to happen? But apparently some of the nuclear enrichment facilities inside of Iran, like Fordo, requires the U.S. to use a B-2 Spirit bomber to destroy that with a certain munition that Israel does not have, okay? So we'll just really have to see if the U.S. carries out this strike or not. Now, World Source News 24/7, breaking Iranian official to Amwaj. Iran rejected Trump's proposal to halt all enrichment facilities and join a meeting with Witkoff and Vance. So it looks like the meeting's not going to be taking place. I did hear that there was a Iranian government plane that was leaving from Tehran on over to the Middle East, like towards Oman, which is where we would have seen most likely a negotiations taking place between the U.S. and Iran. But Iran's Defense Minister Abbas Araghchi did come out today and say that they have not agreed to any negotiations with the U.S. So it looks like there will be no negotiations, and it'll be really up to the U.S. whether they're going to get involved and attack Iran next. Now, Ozen Defender, if the U.S. decides to join Israel in attacking Iran, Tehran would have no choice but to retaliate, says Iranian Deputy Foreign Minister Majid Takht Ravanchi, speaking to CNN. Okay, so that was a statement from their deputy foreign minister saying that they would retaliate and attack the U.S. if they do get attacked by U.S. forces. Now, Megatron Ron again. Breaking, the U.S. announces evacuations of American citizens and embassy personnel from Israel. Okay, so that's not a good sign. That means most likely the strike is going to take place, and they're expecting the U.S. to be retaliated upon, even potentially the embassy inside of Israel. So they're starting to evacuate it now. So that's not good news. Now, Vicegrad 24 breaking, the U.S. announces it's sending the USS Ford aircraft carrier strike group to Europe. It means that 3 U.S. aircraft carriers and 1 British will be deployed near Israel and Iran. The amount of allied firepower in the region will be enormous. Yeah, so we're going to have a total of 3 aircraft carriers in and around the Middle East here very soon, as the USS Ford aircraft carrier strike group has been deployed to Europe. Okay, so that is a lot of firepower that's going to be over there, and that makes sense why we're seeing so many aerial refuelers heading over to the Middle East as well and Europe. So that means that there's going to be a lot of fighter aircraft in the region over there preparing for this attack. Now, Vicegrad 24 breaking, Trump says he's rejected Putin's offer to mediate an agreement between Israel and Iran. I told Vladimir, let's mediate Russia first. You can worry about this later. Yeah, so Trump had kind of like a smart response to Vladimir Putin, because Russia wants to mediate in this war between Israel and Iran. And that's kind of hypocritical to say that, because you're at war with Ukraine right now and you literally attacked Ukraine. Now you want to come over and mediate what's happening in the Middle East. So Trump responded to that and said, you figure out what you need to do over there. You end your war over there against Ukraine and worry about what's happening over here later. That you shouldn't be focused on Iran right now and Israel. You should be focused on your own country fighting against Ukraine right now. So pretty crazy. Now, open source intel just in. Wall Street Journal reports that Israel has another plan to destroy Fordo and is capable of destroying it independently. Yeah, that's interesting. Also, this is what Wall Street Journal was reporting today. And I'm not sure what Israel has in terms of capabilities to destroy the Fordo nuclear facility. But we know that it's way deep underground into the mountains over in Iran, and it will require a certain type of munition that can dig down deep enough. And as far as we know, the U.S. is the only military capable of destroying that right now. So we'll have to see what Israel has up their sleeve if they have another plan to destroy it. Now, Megatron Ron just in. Chief of Iran's Atomic Energy Agency, Eslami. Iran's underground nuclear sites are operational and our scientists are more motivated than ever. So this was a statement from the chief of Iran's Atomic Energy Agency. His name is Eslami. And he was basically stating here that their sites are operational. Their nuclear sites that have been attacked numerous times, they're operational. They can still utilize them, and their scientists are more motivated than ever to possibly carry on trying to create a nuclear bomb, is what I'm thinking here. So pretty crazy statement there. Now, as a defender, the office of Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu said in a statement this morning that since the war began last Friday, Iran has launched more than 400 missiles and hundreds of drones against Israel, and roughly 40 impacts occurring around the country. So far, 24 people have been killed in Israel, more than 800 have been wounded, and over 3,800 people have been evacuated from their homes, all as a result of continued ballistic missile attacks from Iran. So this was a picture coming out from Israel showing destruction to a neighborhood here, as we had an Iranian ballistic missile landing right over here, destroying all these homes and cars. So yeah, unfortunately, we have had 24 people killed so far, which is sad to hear that. 800 people being wounded and 3,800 being removed from their homes due to strikes and damages from these ballistic missile attacks. So nonetheless, still some damage in Israel. But in my opinion, I was expecting a lot more damage than what we've seen so far. Because basically only the first 48 hours we saw heavy ballistic missile attacks from Iran. Now those are starting to really taper off as Israel's been destroying a lot of their ballistic missile launchers. Now, Bliskovka, the U.S. president's doomsday plane E-4B, landed near Washington, according to Defense Index. Last time such actions were on September 11, 2001, after the terrorist attack on the Twin Towers. The aircraft can withstand a nuclear explosion and is designed to command U.S. forces during global emergencies, and its activity often signals the highest level of military readiness. Yeah, so the military doomsday plane for the U.S. president reportedly landed at Joint Base Andrews Air Force Base last night, and there was some flight radars that were indicating that. I saw multiple sources talking about that on X last night, so hopefully that's not regarding what's going on, because I know they do move these things around pretty frequently, but hopefully it's not due to what's happening in the Middle East. Now, open source intel breaking: Israeli-linked hacker group Predatory Sparrow wiped out 95% of assets on Iran's Novatex crypto exchange. Novatex was reportedly used by Tehran to evade sanctions through crypto. Wallet balances plunged from $1.8 billion to just $100 million. Yeah, apparently we had an Israeli-linked hacker group called Predatory Sparrow knocking out a major crypto exchange for Iran and draining one of those wallets. And that's kind of scary for anybody that holds crypto out there. That clearly shows that cryptocurrencies are not 100% safe. But yeah, apparently they're stating here that a good majority of it was taken, 95% from this hacker group. But it's interesting because this report's talking about how 95% of the assets were taken. But reports that we had on mainstream news, they were saying that only like 90 million was taken, not 1.8 billion. So I'm not 100% sure on that. Regardless, this wallet was hacked by the Iranians, or from Israel against the Iranians, I should say, excuse me. And we had money being drained from one of these exchanges in Iran. Now, as a defender, U.S. State Department has confirmed that the U.S. Embassy in Jerusalem, as well as other consular sites in Israel, will remain closed on Wednesday, June 18th through at least Friday, June 20th. Okay, so that's literally the next like 3 days that we're going to be having the U.S. Embassy in Jerusalem and other consular sites in Israel that are going to be closing from today through Friday. So that's possibly when we could see maybe some strikes going on to Iran. It's maybe in the next couple days, because I believe as of yesterday, I wouldn't be surprised Trump gave Iran like a 48-hour window and said, we're going to give you one last chance to agree to a nuclear deal with us. If not, we're going to go ahead and strike you. So don't be surprised if by like Friday we start to see these massive strikes on Iran. I could be wrong, but it kind of seems that way. Now, Megatron Ron new, China has begun delivering aid to Iran, most likely military equipment, according to Yahoo. Since the beginning of the war, 3 Boeing 747 freighters landed in Iran. This type of transporters are commonly used for transporting military equipment and weapons, and hired to fly government contract orders. Okay, I thought this was interesting as well. This was coming out yesterday evening, and there was a flight coming from China into Tehran, and there's been multiples of these, apparently 3 of them, since this war began last week. And it makes you wonder if the Chinese are like covertly supplying military weapons to Iran. Can't completely confirm that, but mainstream news was picking up this story as well today, as it's possible China could be involved in supplying the Iranians with weapons. Now for Megatron Ron new, Israel is running out of Arrow 3 air defense missiles, the Washington Post reports today. Israel will only be able to maintain shooting down Iranian ballistic missiles for 10 or 12 more days. Then they will need to start rationing munitions, according to the Washington Post. This could explain why Iran is opting to launch small but consecutive waves. Iran is likely using up some of their older, less sophisticated missiles to deplete Israeli defenses to make way for the real stuff later on. This is attritional warfare. In most cases, a small wave of 3 to 5 Iranian ballistic missiles is enough to prompt the launch of about 10 to 15 Israeli interceptor missiles, which each one costing at least $12 million in case of the THAAD. In contrast, even Iran's most modern missile, the Fatah-1, only costs about $200,000 to produce, according to the RGC. If we assume 12 interceptors for one Fatah-1 missile, as seen in the video today, that means Israel is spending $144 million to intercept, not always successfully, a single Iranian hypersonic missile. That is why now Israel is going all in against the missile launchers in Iran. And yes, yesterday evening there was reports that the Iranians did fire a hypersonic missile, the Fatah-1. Wasn't able to completely confirm that, but there was a video that was surfacing showing this thing being shot into Israel, and it did strike a target, and there was multiple interceptors, like 12 of them, that were going up into the skies trying to bring it down, and they all failed to intercept that thing. So imagine the amount of money they spent just to try to shoot down that one interceptor, and it didn't even take them down. So that's definitely a crazy situation over here. And yeah, Israel's spending a lot of money just on air defense alone with all these missiles incoming, and it's costing them way more money to shoot them down versus Iran producing these missiles to shoot them at Israel. So cost effective wise, it's costing the Israelis a lot just to defend their cities. Now from David D, nothing to see here, just normal migration of C-17s for the summer. This came out last night as well. You can see here, June 18th, right around 2:30 in the morning. So like yesterday night or early in the morning of today, we had multiple C-17s taken off from the U.S. again, and these are probably supplying weapons for Israel, is what I'm thinking. Maybe going to U.S. bases in Europe, maybe as well, to provide weapons for these strikes onto Iran. Who knows what's really going on here, but that's a lot of C-17s taking off towards Europe, possibly the Middle East. Now, Marian Nafal breaking massive explosions shake Tehran. IDF strikes area linked to Ayatollah. Huge plumes of smoke are rising over Tehran after Israeli airstrikes hit multiple sites across the city. One of the targeted areas, Lavizan, where Ayatollah Khamenei is believed to be. Explosions were heard across several districts as the IDF ramps up its most audacious strikes yet inside Iranian territory, and the source was Yediot News. Yeah, so allegedly Israel was carrying out some strikes over here also with potentially bunker-busting bombs in Tehran, and they could have been striking the bunker that is believed to house Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, the supreme leader of Iran. And we haven't heard any indication whether he has been eliminated or anything like that, but there was reports of this morning. They were allegedly trying to target him. Now, Megatron Ron new over 50 fighter jets took part in targeting Tehran and other cities in Iran last night. Mossad collaborators are still launching drones from inside Iran. Iranian civilians are reporting that they have not yet heard any fighter jets in their skies, meaning that Israel and the U.S. do not yet have the air superiority they claim for now. Meanwhile, the Iranian government sent a request to all its residents to delete WhatsApp and Instagram, which collects and hands over information to Israel and the United States. Yeah, so we had these strikes ongoing last night inside of Tehran as well. We'll show you some of these reports coming out from last night, and then we have some from today as well. But apparently there was somewhere around 60 or so, 50 or 60 Israeli fighter jets taken off from Israel to launch strikes over here. You can see a massive strike just over this mountainside here, and something clearly on fire. And there was some pictures coming out too of residents in Tehran that were showing a smoke cloud that looked like a mushroom cloud, similar to like a nuclear explosion. So Israel was definitely launching some heavy munitions over here outside of Tehran, and if anything, could have been explosions from maybe underground missile bases or something like that that were being hit. Now for Vicegrad 24, breaking massive explosions reported from the Iranian city of Karaj near the Caspian Sea. The Tesla Centrifuge production plant is located in the city along with several important military installations. So centrifuges would be used, I believe, for production of uranium and enriching uranium in these nuclear facilities. Reportedly, we had a centrifuge production plant that was struck down here in southern Iran. And there was also another report today coming out from Vicegrad 24 also that reportedly they struck Tehran and the capital, and reportedly it was another centrifuge production plant that was also being hit. So Israel's trying to do whatever they can to dismantle Iran's nuclear program, okay? Now from Ozen Technical, the Israeli Air Force confirms that it is striking multiple targets in Iran's capital, Tehran. Okay, these were strikes today. You can see massive smoke here across the city. Lots of videos coming out today showing heavy hits, and for sure in the mountains also, like in the north and eastern sides of the mountains in Tehran. We've been seeing a lot of strikes taking place here over the last few days, and we know that Iran has a lot of underground missile storage sites and military bases that are embedded within these mountains. That's usually where a lot of them are located at. So let's look at these heavy strikes that are being carried out all across Tehran today. Here's another one from open source intel. Whoa, Tehran got a beating. Yeah, this was a massive hit right here. I'm not sure what was struck over here. Probably another military site is what I'm thinking. But it looks like we had a major explosion over here. One of the biggest explosions in Tehran that I have seen so far. That was a massive hit from Israel. Now from Ozen Technical, this morning the Israeli Air Force attacked the Iranian Army helicopter base at Kermanshah Airport. Israeli fighters appear to have destroyed at least 5 Iranian AH-1J Cobra Tufan attack helicopters. Okay, so we had the Israelis also carrying out some attacks at some of the airfields inside of Iran as well, and this one showing multiple attack helicopters being destroyed on the Iranian side. So you can see here just Israel smashing Iran all over their country, destroying their airfields, their all kinds of equipment, ballistic missile launchers, air defense systems. Iran really doesn't have a whole lot left. It's just being destroyed repeatedly every day. Now, as a defender, additional documentation of tonight's ballistic missile launch from Iran against Israel, which Iran's Islamic Revolutionary Guards Corps, IRGC, claims that was carried out using a Sejil 2-stage medium-range ballistic missile, which entered active service in around 2014, with this being its first operational combat use since the war began with Israel. So I want to show you guys this video here. And allegedly, this is a medium-range ballistic missile that was fired from Iran, and we're starting to see some new weapons coming out because last night, reportedly, there was a Fatah 1 hypersonic missile that was fired from Iran onto Israel, and now we've got this medium-range ballistic missile. So although we're seeing a lot of decrease in attacks onto Israel, we're starting to see some of the bigger guns come out here from Iran, like they're firing this medium-range ballistic missile at them. So it's allegedly this new missile flying through the skies over here. And from what I've been hearing, pretty much everything has been intercepted, anything that's been fired at Israel so far. But these were just pictures coming out from Iran. Pretty scary looking to see these, but at the same time, very awesome to see that in the sky. Now for Vicegrad 24, breaking incoming reports of U.S. fighter jets flying near the Syria-Iraq border. Okay, so that's some interesting information too, and this was some of the most recent info coming out today. You can see at 10 a.m. on June 18th, 2025. That'd be Pacific Standard Time, my time in the U.S., and yeah, reportedly, we've got U.S. fighter jets flying near the Syria-Iraq border, okay? So getting very close to Iran. This means that they could be setting up 4 massive attacks over here very soon when they decide to launch these strikes. Now from Hanania Naftali. Breaking, the U.S. and U.K. just pulled all their warships out of Bahrain. This isn't routine. Something serious is going down. This was actually reported yesterday evening. A lot of the reports were just starting to come out. The U.S. and the U.K. were starting to deploy a lot of their ships out of the ports of Bahrain. So this means they could be ready to start supporting these strikes with U.S. fighters and Israeli fighters when they start going after these nuclear facilities in Iran. I think we're going to see a massive bombing campaign here very soon, and it's going to be supported by these carrier strike groups that are being deployed over here to the Middle East. Okay, guys, so that's pretty much all the news I have for you here in this video. And we're still waiting to see if the U.S. is going to be getting involved very soon. I think they're going to, probably over the next 48 hours or so. We should be hearing whether the U.S. is going to make a decision to join in these attacks into Iran or not. But we'll just have to see what happens, and I'm curious to know what you're all thinking. Let me know what you think about all these details down below in the comment section. That's going to be it for today's update. If you got something out of this, please smash that like button. Also, if you enjoy my content, please consider subscribing down below. Hit the notification bell. That way YouTube can notify you. With that, hope you all have a great day. Everybody take care and God bless, and we'll see you in the next one.